how do we take AI in that freedom and that conversational ability, the reasoning capacities that large language models have unlocked, and then also take the benefit of decades of tried and true, traditional kind of code that just works, highly scalable and fast. How do we blend those together? And that's what we call hybrid reasoning.
Today, I'm speaking with Adam Evans, EVP and General Manager of the Salesforce AI Platform. Adam leads the strategy behind Agentforce 360 and our AI innovations, helping businesses move from experimentation to trusted enterprise scale adoption. Hi, Adam. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Now, look, you've just launched Agentforce 360, which is connecting customers, employees, operations, agents in a whole new way. What's cooking up here?
So Agentforce 360 is basically 1 year after we debuted Agentforce, tons of learning, 12,000 plus customers, all deploying, and how do we take it to the next level? What's involved in it is the ability to control agents like never before, where you've got this balance of getting predictability, consistency. It's really kind of the unlock that any enterprise needs to be able to do transactional interactions consistently over time. What we call our agent builder. This is where you give the instructions to the agent. And the art here is that it branches, or it's easy to bring in natural language, so you can bring in your business stakeholders that actually know what they want the agent to do, but also opens up what we call agent script for the developers, for the admins, for the people that are going to connect and integrate this agent to all of the systems, brings everybody together in one place, saving everybody time. It's got more intelligence around context. We talk about data a lot, but being able to understand data and to bring it in at the right time to the agent so that you get the perfect kind of response or the decision in that reasoning engine. So we have intelligent context. And one thing that our customers are really excited about, we're excited about, is Agentforce Voice. So as you bring these agents, agents can talk now. Massive unlock. A lot of our customers still have contact center is a huge point in which people connect to the brand. So now you can build these agents one time, test them, deploy them with all those things that I mentioned, and whether it's deploying them to your website to have kind of rich conversational experience on your website, or deploying them to your contact center, your 800 number, to be able to talk to your customers, same agent, all the channels right now.
So for some of those things you mentioned, I get excited because I know that deploying agents in the enterprise isn't like a consumer technology. You've solved some hard challenges there. You mentioned context, control, even the scripting language. People think they can just bring an LLM into their organization, DIY themselves. How do you think about all of this for the enterprise?
We all, as individual consumers at a personal level, are experiencing kind of the consumer side of AI, right? And there's amazing advances in technology, and we can use these things and pick your favorite flavor of the frontier model products. And you think about that, it's great. Now, if I said to, let's say, 100 of our sales reps to put together a forecast, let's say using, ChatGPT, I think it would do a pretty good job individually for them. But then if we looked at 100 of them across the board, across 5 or days, it's going to change. So it's amazing in terms of what it can do, but that lack of consistency. Take that same example, but instead of saying, get a forecast from your sales team, take that agent and put it in front of your customers. Have it represent your brand. Well, let's say you're going to do, thousands of return merchandise, authorizations as a retailer online, right? You want to make sure that the policies about how you actually conduct that process, your business with returning merchandise, is the same. But when it comes to scaling things up for transactional value, for enterprises, you need consistency. And a lot of the art right now is balancing how do we take AI in that freedom and that conversational ability, the reasoning capacities that large language models have unlocked, and then also take the benefit of decades of tried and true, traditional kind of code that just works, highly scalable and fast. How do we blend those together?
Like threading the needle there.
That's right. And that's what we call hybrid reasoning. And when I mentioned agent script a moment ago, that's our language for kind of developers and admins to kind of open the hood and be able to really have fine-tuned control over that reasoning engine. And so the idea is it's kind of the best of both worlds. Let's say you're an insurance company and you're adding another beneficiary to your policy or something to that. You may have a moment and that goes from that free-flowing conversation, which you loved, now that you know that the job to be done is to add that additional beneficiary.
You've dropped into a process
You
now.
process, that's
Yeah.
right. And then you might need to have something read very specifically to get a certain verbal agreement. It's everything we interact with all the time, and having the tools to have both of those things available, the kind of the dynamic kind of freedom when you need it, but kind of that more rigid control that businesses require to actually put agents into transactional workflows, helping customers actually complete work, driving way more value. That is what we're launching, and we're really excited about it.
It's a fascinating 12 months, right? A lot of lessons there, right? From the initial excitement to some of the enterprise readiness you're talking about here. You've been working with some amazing example customers around the world. What are a few that are exciting you at the moment?
Actually, I'll give you two in kind of the opposite sides of the spectrum. A large enterprise retailer, Williams-Sonoma, a fantastic customer. They have 9 brands. And right now, Agentforce is, I think, live on 8 of the 9 brands. But one of the reason I bring it up is, like many large companies with multiple brands, you've got years of different systems and integration, and maybe you've acquired assets and products, and how do you bring all that together? And one of the really cool things about what Williams-Sonoma did is they focused on things around kind of an order management system and a couple of these things, built kind of that layer up of the agent first. And by the way, they also, a really great unlock, having agents also do the testing at every level. So you're really being able to move pretty quickly. But they built that layer on some of their kind of core systems. In their case, an order management system could be anything kind of under the hood. And then they were able, with that investment, to move it quickly and change the tonality, the brand, the look and feel up on the website, the voice kind of control across all of the different brands. So Williams-Sonoma Home, Pottery Barn, West Elm. And they were able to launch those agents really quickly by focusing on kind of that 2-tier and customizing and tweaking those agents. And it was much faster in that sense. And then on the other side of the spectrum, a customer I really love working with is a fast-growing smaller company called Engine. Engine does everything in travel. They're based in Europe, growing really fast. 1 million travels a year, using Agentforce to help find accommodations. All right. So the reason I bring this up is they deployed really fast. We talk about agentic enterprises.
Right. They're the new breed.
That's right. So there's a couple kinds. You think about how do we all transform ourselves? How do we become agentic enterprises as large companies? What are we doing? How do we move from where we are today with all those different systems and integrations? What investments can we be making to kind of put ourselves in position to have that agility if you're a large company? But if you're also kind of an upstart, they're growing really fast. The team is lean. I view that as a different kind of agentic enterprise. And so we're going to see a lot of really great innovation, really great transformation happen across all the brands that we love at scale, completely change the way that they connect with their customers, the kind of productivity that they can offer for their employees. But we're also going to see brand new companies coming online, also kind of paving the way, being able to take maybe even more experimental approaches because they're small, they're fast, and kind of also showing us what agentic enterprises can be.
It's an exciting time. Definitely love the 2 different styles. Do you see one particular persona inside those organizations leading the charge? Is it different between a large organization and a newer approach, agentic enterprise?
I mean, there's a lot of different approaches. If I had to kind of boil it down to maybe kind of 2 broad buckets here, one is when it's a kind of a top-down. You've got a leader. You've got a CEO that's coming in saying, we're going to change. Like things are going to get disrupted. We are thinking about that engine, that story, that new competitor that's going to move fast. We are worried about that. We want to change. We want to disrupt ourselves. If anybody's going to disrupt us, it's going to be us. The other thing that we see is more throughout the whole business, because there's deep knowledge of the things that could be improved, the processes that are in
pain points,
place,
the challenges.
and that it's a different style of approach. Both have merits. In fact, it's a combination of both of these, I think, is probably what I would recommend. But what you see is applying AI in kind of more incremental ways for processes that exist today. One of the benefits when it's coming from more within the organization, kind of bottoms up, let's say. And so you might have a flow where you're saying, hey, if we just summarize that information and provided that context, we could shave off a minute on our average handling time in our contact center. We could, maybe eliminate that manual step and automate it when, documents come in and we want to parse them and have an agentic workflow set up. And you're looking at things that are really about productivity, but it's not necessarily changing the entire process from the ground up. And one of the great things about this approach is that it's quite measured. typically you're doing agents that are an existing process that have KPIs established. And so you can kind of set out from the onset of saying, look, we want to see these kinds of improvements. And that's out, by the way, that's a great thing because we've all read this stat right now, that 95% of pilots never make it to production. This is a study from
Wild
MIT.
stat.
The headline of it is, this is failing or it's not working,
Right.
95%.
We're at the top of the hype cycle.
No. We did, I'm talking to customers, hundreds of pilots last year, hundreds of experiments. And this is kind of the bottoms up. Hey, what can we use AI for? We got to transform everybody. Let's just go.
Plant 1,000
and not
seeds.
really think about the most valuable things. What can we do? And this is how you learn. This is how you learn fast, right? Is this experimentation. By the way, it's not just purely experimenting. Launching agents, high-grade production agents at scale with consistency.
With great results for amazing customers.
There's more there. That's why we're mentioning all the kind of the control mechanisms, the dynamicism, the ability to have that intelligent context. These are all the tools that you need just to launch your agent. And then you need more to manage it, observability. You need to understand how things are going. You're probably going to have to improve your data. There's a whole loop about improvement.
I feel like we have been disrupting ourselves. I think Mark, our CEO's led a top down, but I think there's also been some bottoms up from different departments. I think we sometimes underestimate what the work that we need to do ourselves. We sell this software, but we have these problems ourselves around customer service and sales. And obviously you are customer zero here and you're on the beneficiary of like updating our product as that goes along. What have you learned along the way?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is a great example. You mentioned Mark Benioff is one of those CEOs that's saying,
yeah, we're
if
going to do this.
anybody's going to disrupt us, it's going to be ourselves, right?
Yes.
Let's jump in, let's go. So if you're a CEO and you're thinking about this, you need to set that example for your team. Now, in terms of the learnings, we did that kind of earlier, and we call it customer zero, right? So this is us using our own technology, being kind of the first customer, maybe before things are even released, so that we can kind of work all the kinks out. We have lots of agents internally, a lot of agents within Slack. Everybody uses agents for all kinds of things within HR and ITSM, and there's so much. But one of the most public stories that we have is our help.salesforce.com. So this is effectively a place where millions of conversations happen, where people need help about all of the wonderful Salesforce products. It can range from password reset to understanding security permission strategies.
I bought this feature. How do I turn it on?
I would say there's a lot of features in Salesforce, right? A lot of products, a lot of options. So it's not a simple agent to be able to do that. And that agent, last time I checked, had about 1.8 million conversations this year. And by the way, compared to the human side, it's 1.3. So it's kind of an interesting moment. We're actually having more volume on that side, and we have a 77% resolution rate. But it didn't start with that performance. When we first launched, I'm not sure if I can say the exact numbers, but I will say it's maybe about half, of that rate when I think we debuted. We knew we had something great. Right away, we felt good. But of course, you want more. Right. And so what was the process like? So one, we celebrate the launch. But that's an important milestone, but it's a milestone on the journey. And after it goes live, that was kind of like turning on a flashlight to your data. So the agent indexes, I think it was around 500,000 support articles, okay? Like these are articles we've built up for years. So we have all this data that we've been maintaining, and there's some really good stuff in there, but at that scale, there's some stuff that you're not really looking at, right? And when we started looking at that agent, and we're inspecting these conversations, at the beginning it was, thousands. We that's another thing. We kind of gated it so we could do a few a day, and then more a day, and more a day.
You
and
throttled it.
1,000 a day, right? Exactly. And so you're getting to that level where you can really kind of inspect it, but it let us see things where we said, wait, why did the agent answer that question that way? And it turns out we were thinking it was a problem with the technology, and no, it's actually, that article is out of date.
It's from 10 years ago.
Yeah, and we were like, oh. And so part of what happened is we said, we need to, go back and kind of pay down some of this, or invest, I should say, in like data cleanliness and these things, and it's turning on that spotlight. And it wasn't all just about the data. There was, tuning the prompts, things like that. These are also the lessons that we learned of like, hey, we need a lot more control of this, hence the agent script and all these new features. But the culmination of all of that is significant value for Salesforce, because it allows us to take people that were basically answering like, how do I reset my password type questions?
1,000 times a week.
That have, let's call that 80% volume. And imagine that a lot of these things are simple questions, but then the other 20% are deep knowledge questions, meaning the lowest common denominator is that all of these like highly educated people that know our software for that 20% of complex issues, we're asking them to do things that aren't really worth their time on the more kind of repetitive side. And these people know our product well.
Yes.
What kind of value could they provide? And so as we've increased that resolution rate, we've moved them into things like growth and sales and things that they have such deep understanding. It's so valuable to us as a company. And so the process was not just for the product.
So talking about the product, when I speak to customers, they are getting approached by a lot of vendors. I think there's a lot of AI washing going on right now as well. Everything's become AI, right? So what are some of the things, as you've built this product, we've taken some lessons for ourselves that make Agentforce 360 truly unique, differentiated in the market?
Building a pilot and doing a little demo has never been easier. As we grew progressively more and more, we needed to build new tools to analyze all these thousands and thousands of conversations that scale to understand what was even going on. That's part of the engine that you want to launch great agents at an enterprise scale. It's also about all of the derivative systems that they need to integrate to create a great experience. So what is this agent going to do? Is it going to help employees? Is it, like we have a great connection into Slack where people work. Is it going to help your customers? How easy is that to get plugged in to, let's say, your website? Or the messaging channels that you use most. Like, for example, in Latin America, a great retailer, Falabella, 35 million customers, uses WhatsApp with Agentforce to basically communicate with all of them. Are you going to be able to learn with those interactions from your customers and put that into the 360 profiles of them to better have them segmented for better marketing campaigns? Right. And you start looking at all this, like all of these critical business systems, or let's say you need to actually escalate and bring a live human in the loop. About Service Cloud and the console and having us be able to route to a human, full context transfer. Do you have the channels technology for where your users are? Do you end up having all of the kind of escalation systems that you need in place to do that? Do you have the analytics systems that you're going to need with Data Cloud, Tableau Next, all these things that we have? So when you really analyze the agents, can you also take the learnings from this and project it into, like, let's say, growth opportunities like the marketing segmentation I mentioned to run more intelligent campaigns? So you start looking at not just the tools to build and to iterate to scale agents with consistency, where like that's a lot where I focus. Being able to have all of these different systems come together really unlocks like a completely different sense of value, because agents are the new apps. And so we have a choice. And so this is part of this moment of experimentation, great. But once we actually understand how to build, once you have internalized with all those pilots that you were learning from so you could find the right actual agentic applications that drive the most value, that last 5% that matters, you're going to want to make sure that you're choosing the right vendors. As you're building that up, you've got all of this space to take the learnings, the data, and reproject it to create the most value for your company, to connect with your customers across all of the channels and all the capacities that you need to, and to bring your employees along where they work to be the most productive as possible.
Exciting times ahead. Last question, Adam. You've built a lot of technology. What's next? Like, you've mentioned a lot there. Is there something you want to tease or where we're going?
We're learning so much from our customers as we do this. I mean, part of it is the technology's changing. Part of it is we've got lots of roadmap and exciting ideas, but we're also learning along the way. And the way I see it is really kind of three broad kind of categorical application spaces of AI like emerging. One is customer facing. And when I say customer, I mean external. Right. So it could be customer service. It could also be sales, like it's a prospect, but it's outside your brand at scale.
Right.
Okay. And then you've got an employee side, right? So this is your personnel. This is helping everybody be more prepped for that meeting they're about to have, about saving them time and basically just like kind of augmenting your own company within. The third one, that's this agentic workflow, is more on the automation side. Like you may have a lot of data that you want to create an agentic workflow to go through. So I kind of mentioned the looking at conversations after they happen.
It's happened by
itself.
itself.
To better understand how to serve. That's right. We have other customers also. Proactivity is unlocked through agentic workflows. Having a background agent have these kind of automated workflows go through client by client to make sure that they have all of their information entered in the system, that it's gathering these things kind of proactively ahead of time. And then right before, and ultimately scheduled, but then right before the schedule, of course, kind of get the top of mind from the client. Hey, here are things based off what we're probably going to want to talk about. What are we missing? What do you want to talk about? And then doing that ahead of time, and then being able to tee up that information to the actual client advisor, right before or the day of here's what they said, here's what's going, kind of prep them and do more just to maximize that moment, and then ultimately to kind of crystallize all of that into a nice little summary that preps to maximize the moment where two humans come together to get the most from it, right? And so I look at all of that. I think it's a great application. The technology, we're going to see so many more like that.
Very, very interesting times we live in. Adam, your team has done an amazing job. Thank you again for delivering an amazing product, working tirelessly to deliver for our customers, and also for spending time with us on this series and our region. So thanks again, Adam.
Thank you for having me.